We are back with our next NFL prediction episode today. And today we have the Los Angeles Rams, who obviously were a huge disappointment last year at 5-12. But obviously there was a lot of health issues, and we're going to break it all down today. But before we get started, of course, like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure to follow and rate and review. That would be very helpful. And we're going to be pumping these out pretty much every day for the rest of August. So make sure to be following along and turn on your notifications because they're going to be coming at you quick here. So starting with the offense, though, like I said, the Rams were 5-12 last year. Matthew Stafford was injured for a lot of it. He's now 35 years old. So I don't want to just predict that he's going to continue to go downhill, but he's obviously going to get worse as his age gets older. But a huge key for him is just staying healthy. That's a big key. Overall, though, offensively, it's not looking very promising in Los Angeles this year. Cam Akers is their lead back. They have Royce Freeman. They drafted Zach Evans in the 6th round. But overall, the running backs isn't very don't have a high upside. Cam Akers can be explosive at times. Wide receiver wise, Cooper Kupp went down with a hamstring injury recently. That's something to definitely keep an eye on because if Cooper Kupp is out for any margin of time, they literally will not win football games without Cooper Kupp. They got Demarcus Robinson from Baltimore, and they have obviously Van Jefferson still there, and Ben Skowronek. But Cooper Kupp's the key, man. And I think he's going to be good. I'm sure he won't play this preseason. If so, it's very limited snaps. But I was trying to keep up with some updates, and it seemed like he was going to be good to go. But I wonder if that's going to hold him back at all this year. Tyler Higbee is their tight end. He obviously had a great year last year, over 600 yards, with backup quarterbacks filling in. Their offensive line last year was 30th out of 32. They had a ton of injuries, though, that really caught up to them. So that's something, if they can stay healthy, they should be better than 30th, but they don't have a lot of promise their offense in their offensive line either. So offensively, besides Cooper Kupp, and I know Matthew Stafford can still be, in my opinion, a top 12 quarterback in football. I think he's out of the top 10 now, but I think he'd still be in that 12 to 15 range. And obviously, like I mentioned, Cooper Kupp. Besides those two guys, I just don't know where some offensive firepower is going to come from. They're going to need guys like Demarcus Robinson and Van Jefferson to pop off. They're going to need Ben Skowronek to be solid. They're going to need Zach Evans, their 6th round pick at running back. They're going to need him to show some promise. They're going to have a lot of things like kind of guys to play higher than what they have played in the past or play higher than what their expectations are to be solid this year. Defensively, in 2022, they were 22nd in football overall. Obviously, Aaron Donald is still elite. He's obviously not as elite as he was. I don't think he's in his prime anymore. He's 32 years old. I wouldn't say he's in his prime, but he can still be very, 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 very productive. But I wouldn't say he's as dominant as he was in the past. Besides Aaron Donald, though, especially defensive line wise, it's Aaron Donald and everyone else. They don't have big name guys like they have in the years past. Linebackers wise, they lose Bobby Wagner to the Seattle Seahawks, where he belongs, by the way. They drafted Byron Young in the 3rd round out of Tennessee. So obviously they're trying to bolster up that. They drafted an offensive lineman also with their I believe 2nd round pick, 36th overall. So they're obviously addressing issues that they have. I just don't know if those additions are going to make a difference right now. Safety wise, Jordan Fuller, he's really solid, and he kind of blossomed on the scene a couple of years ago. But he's dealt with some injuries these past 2 years. Cornerback wise, Kobe Durant is going into his 2nd season. He had 3 picks last year as a rookie, and from what I've been reading, they have a lot of high hopes for Kobe Durant going into his 2nd season. And then their other corner is probably going to be Robert Rochelle, who's going into his 3rd season. And then they said he's got some upside to him as well. But I was kind of dogging on their offense a little bit. But defensively, that is even worse than their offense. Like everything that I'm reading is not going to look good. Now, I read a couple Rams articles that said they have them going 8-9 around that 500 mark, and I just don't know how they are going to get there because their schedule is very tough. Moving on to the schedule here, they have the Seahawks in week 1 on the road, and I have them losing that one. Obviously, I have them losing week 2 versus the 49ers at home. Then they got the Bengals on the road. I have them losing that one to start the season 0-3. They then face the Indianapolis Colts on the road, and I have them winning this one. Then it gets tough, man. They have the Eagles at home. I have them losing that one. They have the Cardinals at home. I do have them winning that one. Steelers is a very winnable game at home for the Rams, but I do have them losing that one. I think that's like week 7 or week 8. Kenny Pickett should be kind of rolling along with that offense and getting really familiar with them. They play the Cowboys on the road. I have them losing that one. And then another winnable game is at the Packers, but I do have them losing this one solely because it's at Lambeau. And I think Jordan Love and the offensive pieces over there are not great, but they're better than what the Rams have. Whether it be Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs. Um, they face the Seahawks next at home. I have them losing that one. They play the Cardinals on the road. I do have them winning that one. Then to end the year, I have them losing out. They play the Browns at home, lost. They play the Ravens on the road, lost. They play the Commanders at home. That's a very winnable game. But Zach and I talked about it a little bit in these upcoming Broncos episodes, where Bronco and Raiders episode, where the Commanders with Sam Howell might not be great at the beginning of the year, but their defense is so elite that with Terry McLaurin and Sam Howell, once they get a connection going, halfway through the year to the end of the year, they might be a problem. And so I have the Commanders beating the Rams in that one in Los Angeles. The Rams then play the Saints at home. I have them losing that one. They play the Giants on the road. I have them losing that one. And they play the Niners on the road. I have them losing that one. Overall, I have the Los Angeles Rams going 3-14 next year, and I honestly believe that is going to quite possibly be the worst team in the NFL. That's how not confident I am about this roster, offensively and defensively. Now, there are some winnable games, like I mentioned, throughout that schedule. I would say the Giants on the road is a winnable game. Commanders is a winnable game. They could split with the Seahawks. I don't see them splitting with the Niners. They could beat the Steelers. They could beat the Packers. So they could be, in my opinion, their ceiling, I guess, would be 6-11, 5-12, 6-11. But I just don't see them getting there. I really don't like this roster, and I honestly believe they had their success a couple of years ago winning the Super Bowl, and since then it's just slowly gone downhill. Guys are getting older, guys are leaving, guys are getting hurt, and I believe Matthew Stafford's nearing probably the end of a very solid, very good NFL career. So it's going to be a long year, in my opinion, for Los Angeles. And I don't know how many Rams fans listen to us, but if you are listening, you just like the teams we started with this prediction list with, you got to look for some bright sides, man, because it's going to be a long year. But like I mentioned, we pre-recorded the Broncos and the Raiders before this episode, but that's going to be coming out after this episode. So the Rams episode I'm going to be posting, obviously, as you're watching and listening here, and then the Broncos and Raiders will be coming up after that. So be on the lookout, guys. Of course, like I said at the beginning, like, subscribe, follow, rate, review, wherever you're listening at, watching at. We're very, very active on Instagram, so make sure to go follow over there, A2Z Sports Talk. But besides that, we will see you guys for the Broncos and Raiders episodes coming up in the next couple days. Thanks, guys.